If you could describe a feeling that International Women's Day gives you, what would you say?
Empowerment. Women are owning what they do.
Ultimate power.
When actually it's so much more powerful to work together. You will
Hugely.
create so much more.
Being a woman, so I used to work for a brewery, and that's a very male-dominated industry, and that was really tough.
And you do have to just be honest with yourself, and sometimes you can't do it all. We're not superhuman. And I think as an entrepreneur, we sometimes feel like we are superhuman to a certain degree because we wear so many different hats.
Just to be reflective is very mindful, and it just warms your heart a bit, doesn't it?
Totally.
Yeah. Oh my God, hang on. Wow, we're on
Yeah.
a ride.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very, very special episode of Real Talk with Nat. This is our bonus episode, which we're surprising you with for International Women's Day. I am your podcast host, Natalie Naman, and I have two very special guests with me today, Lauren and Danni.
Hello.
Hey, girls.
Hey.
How are you both?
Very good.
I'm very good, thank you. We're sharing.
Sharing the
Sharing.
mics. Love it. Do you guys want to introduce yourself? Danni, you're holding the mic, so go for it.
I am Danielle Cox, and I am a holistic therapist based in Bedford, covering all things wellness. Lots of different retreats and events are springing up at the moment, so just going with the flow with it.
Love it.
Hello, I'm Lauren. I'm founder of the Little Marketing Company, and I help support small businesses with strategy, with branding, and with other elements of marketing.
Amazing. And you have just done a really epic event in time with this podcast, like the way that we're recording it. Do you want to just talk about the event that you did yesterday?
Yeah, sure.
It's amazing.
Yesterday, Emily Bateman and I, Emily Bateman is a photographer, we held a International Women's Day photo shoot. So we had over 50 in the end, over 50 women who own their own businesses in Bedfordshire. We were just saying before we were recording this that it was amazing, and it was so hard because we only had 2 hours. So I needed to really kind of look at the guest list and see, but it was people that I'd worked with before or who are clients of mine. But we had them down for a photo shoot to get some headshots for everyone. And we're going to have an exhibition of them for International Women's Day in a few weeks' time.
I love it. What date is that, the exhibition?
Thursday, the 6th of March.
6th.
It's going to be at the Grange with Jenny. Thank you, Jenny.
So this episode will be released. That will already been done.
Oh, after.
It was
Oh
a
my
couple
gosh.
of days ago.
I hope it went great.
It went great. We'll manifest that. It went amazing. Amazing. Yeah, that event was incredible.
Thank
Obviously, I
you.
came along and it was just so powerful. We were just saying how insane just the energy in that room with so many people. And you were just running around, is everything okay? Just absolutely smashing it.
Thank you.
It was incredible.
It's just important, I think. Emily and I hadn't met Emily before. I sent her a voice note one day just saying, "Hi, I got this idea. Do you want to do it?"
Yeah.
She was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Which was great. So that was October. So it's been in the works for quite a long time. But the original idea was that women don't often shout about themselves in business. You know, we're all founders, but we don't always kind of turn that lamp on, do we? And really amplify what we do.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to be able to capture the women so that they can use those images as well, you know, for their own social presence, but also just to have a moment to celebrate the fact that they're business owners, because I just don't think we do that enough. Like you were saying, we're so busy, we run around left, right and centre, you know, some of us are mums, some of us have other businesses or, you know, whatever. And actually we don't always take stock of going, that's me.
Yeah.
I can do this and
celebrate
I am
yourself.
doing it. Exactly.
100%. I love that.
Thank you.
So I've got lots of questions I want to ask both of you around International Women's Day and women in business and being a female founder and all of those things. But before we go into those, I'd love to know what you think in general about International Women's Day. If you could describe a feeling that International Women's Day gives you, what would you say?
I'll give it to Danni first.
Okay.
Go on,
I would
Danni.
say just ultimate power. I think it's so important, particularly in recent times. So many people have come together and collaborated. I know I've had personal experience of that, e.g. working with you. And it's just so amazing to harness that energy, that female empowerment around it.
Yeah.
There was so many years that was worked on being able for us to get to this stage, right? Of being able to own ourselves, be actually independent enough to work so hard and own that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely power sticks out for me.
I love that. I love that word in general. Power. Yes.
I think the same as Danny. I
Yeah.
think empowerment. So there's kind of, I can feel a movement, and especially with yesterday, of people going, actually, yeah, this is me and this is my business. And like
Yeah.
we said before, you know, people say, you go, oh, I just have a marketing business, or
Yeah.
I'm just a photographer, or, you know, oh, I do massage. Like before, a few years ago, I feel
Yeah.
like that's the kind of language we'd be using.
Yeah.
Whereas I think International Women's Day has picked up a lot of traction over the last few years, and actually now women are owning what they do, like you ladies especially, and Georgia, who couldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But you know, we are doing this actually, and it's not,
Yeah.
we're not just running a business, or I'm not doing this little side hustle. No, this is full time. We're here and we're proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's just don't dim blah, blah, blah. Don't dim your own light.
Absolutely.
And that's so important. That is so important. Yeah, I'm here for that as well. I would agree. Empowerment. I think that's the biggest, empowerment and confidence.
Yeah.
I love that. Amazing. So, Lauren, do you want to just talk a little bit about your journey becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Because when I first met you 2 years ago,
I think, or about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. You were doing your yoga and you didn't have your marketing company at that point.
No.
So, starting with your yoga business, how did you get there? And then how did you get to here, to where you are today?
So I'd been a corporate girly for a long time before that. So I think I met you. I was on maternity leave when I met you.
You were, yeah.
Alongside maternity leave, I had my yoga business, which I'd started before I was pregnant with my little boy Archie. But I did that because I kind of was future-proofing myself. I kind of knew back then I wasn't a corporate girl, but I'd been in the business for 8 years. They were great to me at the time. I was comfortable.
Yeah.
I'd kind of gone through the ranks and I was happy with where I was. But I knew that being a mum would change me.
Yeah.
So I got a yoga qualification literally just before I fell pregnant with Archie, and started that business. That was very much a side hustle. I taught a class a week, couple of classes a week.
Yeah.
And then when I was on maternity leave, I obviously didn't, I was on mat leave, so I wasn't doing much and I wasn't doing any of my corporate job. But for me, having that identity of being a mum and then being me, so there's an expression, find your pink again, you know, kind of you get lost in motherhood sometimes. I knew that I wanted to be the best mum to Archie, but also I needed, enable for me to do that, I needed something myself.
Yeah.
So the yoga business, I kind of drummed up a bit, and obviously mat pay is horrendous still.
Yeah.
So I was earning a little bit of money on the side, which then it just helped. Everything helped. Being able to see people without having Archie, because going to baby classes and all of this, and Kimmy will find this, it was lovely, but I needed something just for me.
Yeah.
And just to also to create a lovely bond with grandparents and Archie, and they were able to help out, which I'm so grateful for. But that kind of started my entrepreneurial journey, because I wasn't thinking corporate at all. I was then thinking, okay, this is going well. Maybe I'll try this class. And kind of learning without the pressure, which was really lovely, actually. It was an opportune moment.
Yeah.
I won't go into it too much, but my return to work journey with the company I was with before wasn't ideal. It wasn't very good. There were a lot of red flags, and I thought, I don't think I want to go back. Now I've started my yoga business.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Again, whilst I'm on mat leave, whilst there's no pressure, maybe I'll see if there's a few people. And it was a lady called Claire who used to do my nails. She's a beautician, and she said, look, just try it. Like, just do my marketing for a bit, and I'll do your nails, and you do marketing. And I was like, well, this is great, because I have no money.
Yeah, brilliant.
Being on mat leave.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to start.
Yeah.
And then Carl, who's actually in the corner here.
Producer
Carl.
Give it a shout out over there.
He also said to me, why not? What? Just try it. Like, what have you've got literally nothing to lose. You've still got your corporate job at the end of the day. If you want to go back, you don't want to, but if you do.
Yeah.
So that was the start of my journey. And then Claire and Carl very kindly recommended me to others.
Yeah.
Who recommended me to others.
Yeah.
Who recommended me to others. And now here I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was accidental
Amazing.
entrepreneurship, I think.
It often is though, isn't it?
Yeah. And there was that kind of real moment of going, I'm a mum now. I would have gone back part-time, but actually I want time on my terms.
Yeah.
I want to be able to set my hours. And then obviously meeting Danni as well. And she talks very much, I'm sure you'll go on to talk about it in a minute, with, your half days and your Wellness Wednesday, is actually carving out that time. And I thought, actually, I don't want Archie in nursery forever. Half two. I've got my afternoons with him and
Yeah.
working around that. So yeah, it was a bit of an accidental journey, but one that
Amazing.
I'm really pleased that happened.
Wow.
I needed the push though. So
Yeah.
grateful for that
I
opportunity.
love that. That's a really powerful story as well.
Thank you.
Amazing. How about you, Danny?
Um,
Oh, actually, hold on. How do you two know each other as well?
you know.
We've never asked
actually
each other that before.
think, yeah, I don't actually know how our paths crossed.
I came to you for pregnancy massage. So I think that's how I first met you. I think I'd had a massage before, and then when I was pregnant, I came to you for pregnancy massage. And then I just randomly messaged you one day about a workshop, and I was like, can we just,
Yes.
do you want to do this?
Collab together.
Yeah.
I think
Love
we'd
that.
just seen each other's work and be like, oh, that's really cool. What can we do here? This could work. And then actually we ran our first vision board workshop last June. About last June.
Amazing.
Which is a gorgeous space, just purely for business women.
Yeah, nice.
Come on in, get your visions and ideas for the next 6 months on board. Let's see. And it was amazing. We came back with just the biggest buzz and we're like, oh my God, what more can we do?
Yeah.
So then scheduled in like the next 2 or 3, I think, after that.
Yeah.
And but it's lovely that we work together and we do bounce off each other so much. Like energy wise, I really feel is important when collaborating with other people.
Definitely.
You've got to make sure that bond is there, like to bounce off each other.
You can feel that with you guys. Even just from like being in here with you guys today, from the minute you walked in, you can feel that vibe and that bond, which is amazing because everyone will feel that. So that's great.
Yeah, and that's what we love, like the thought of just like our clients harnessing our energy and like putting it into theirs, and it's just really lovely.
Especially with wellness and visualizing and all of that, you need that. You can't have a duo that's not vibing.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Then now you're here making big movements.
But we'll talk.
Yeah, I love that. We'll talk more about collaborating and stuff later. But I think it is so lovely that you did just reach out and were like, can we do something together?
Give it a go.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people can be scared to make that first move. And there's also a lot of fear, which again, we'll talk about later, but there's sometimes fear people have behind, but what if they take my clients, or what if this happens, or what if that happens, when actually it's so much more powerful to work together. You will create so much more.
Yeah.
2 brains are better than one.
Absolutely.
And you're helping each other. And I think that's the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
Love that.
It does work really well.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful.
So talk to me about your journey to entrepreneurship. How did you get here?
So I finished school, but when I was finishing up, I was working in a little salon around the corner from my parents' house.
Yeah.
And then just kind of fell into doing an apprenticeship in beauty, which was lovely. So finished that, was at Bedford College for a full year, and then Barnfield College in Luton.
Okay.
But was also working more or less full time, up to my hours where I could, and I was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
My time felt like it came to an end there when the situation had changed. They all wanted us to go self-employed, but the split wasn't too fair. So I was like, oh, do I just make the jump? I was 19. My mum was like, oh my God, this is the scariest thing ever. What if it fails? My dad was a bit more like, do you know what, mate, what we've got to lose? Go for it. Like,
love that.
You could, So I was really split, like that feminine energy, like coming in. But I went for it and it was the best thing I ever did. So there was a little salon in town. One of my best friends had his hair done there and was like, look, just speak to this lovely lady, Zoe. She's been in this salon for so many years. There's a back room. I think you can do something with it. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Walked in, shell of a room, and I was like, okay, do you think this can work? So we had quite a quick turnaround, got everything set up to go self-employed, and we were good to go. Yeah. So I was there for 2 years, and at the time I was actually training with Georgia. She was up at Gold's Gym at the time, back in the day. And she said, could we go for coffee one day? And I was thinking, oh God, is she going to sack me off and I'm not performing as she wants me to as her client? I had no idea. She obviously couldn't speak about the studio up and coming back then. She was in a different environment. Yeah. So she said, oh, I've got this studio coming up. Do you want to change space and come and rent a room in Kempston? Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, okay. So took it on, and it was all part of the building works, and gutted she can't be here actually, because like their memories are so core for me of like choosing the floor and like painting the walls and all the building space of it coming on and how far it has done. But I was there for 2 years, and my sister's a hairdresser. So we'd always had a bit of a pipe dream to be like, do you know what? Shall we one day look for a salon? And, you know, we'd always spoke, Mum can work with us. It'd be so much fun. Yeah. And then we started looking. And the Most Perfect Salon came up on the Broadway where we have been now for coming up 6 years in September.
Wow.
And we were like, let's just go for it. Had a 2-week turnaround. It was a crazy journey because there's so much when you're navigating, like having your own space. There's like bills to put in place, all these things that we were learning. I was 24, my sister was 22.
Yeah.
So that's like so young. And
Yeah.
we go into like appointments with solicitors and lawyers. We're rocking up like, I don't even know what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was the biggest learning curve. So yeah, been there 6 years and we've got a lovely, lovely salon. We're very grateful, amazing team that work with us. They're all self-employed. So
Yeah.
understand that it might be a bit of a stepping stone in their journey as well. Like maybe one day they'll want their own space, but we love to provide and hold space under our roof for that.
That's amazing.
lovely. Works really well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
It's a
It is
journey.
amazing. It's nice
Yeah.
to talk about it as well, isn't it? Like, you know what we were saying earlier about you don't, like with your event, you don't always sit back and reflect and actually go, wow, I've actually done that. So to have conversations like this, it's just
really
nice.
Yeah, it's very like just to be reflective is very like mindful and it just warms your heart a bit, doesn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
Would you say you always had entrepreneurship in you?
Yes, I've always, even back in the day, I would finish school. So I was like 15, 16. I had a pink towel set that I would put on my bed. Girls from random schools, they were so young, would come to my house. And I would stick cluster lashes on their eyes.
No way.
Yeah, like I had didn't do a patch test. Like it was so raggo. But I was like, well, do you know what? They loved
gotta
it.
get done.
Yeah, Mum was like, oh, quick, Danny's got a client. Shut the kitchen doors, put the dog in. Like, hello, like welcome them, come up the stairs. And still clients that I still see to this day. So it's
Wow.
just funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so funny.
I love that. How about you, Lauren?
No, I wouldn't say. Well, thinking about it, I guess a little bit. Not to Danny's
You
level.
weren't doing that.
I've always had something on the side. So I've either had school, and then I was a dance teacher for the dance school I was with. So I'd always had that kind of, I guess, level of responsibility, and then creativity. So creativity has definitely always been within me. So then I think as I've grown older, I've kind of harnessed that and understood that, and that's what led me ultimately to marketing. And then when I was at university, I had a job and I was on the committee for a team I was on. So I've always kind of had that
little bit of something.
Yeah, that kind of plus where I've had to really think about things and be quite structured. And then with the kind of marketing and creation side, I think so. And then with the yoga business as well. So I've always kind of had like a side hustle at the time, not always financially kind of like not paid. But I've always had my like stable plus. If that makes sense. So I've always had something else to
go with.
Yeah.
Have you always kind of felt like you were made for more than what you were doing previously, if you know what I mean? So when you were in the corporate world, did you think, I should be doing more than this? I want to be doing more than this?
Not particularly. I think I was very comfortable with where I was. And the thing is, when you stay somewhere for a long time, you kind of get part of the furniture. And I felt super comfortable and I was very grateful. I flew through the ranks quite quickly. So in my 8 years, I was like real junior when I arrived, like tiny deer in headlights. And then they sold the bigger part of the business to create a new one, which I was involved in, which I was super grateful for. So I had such a strong loyalty to them. And I wanted to stay. And I think with jobs, you either stay with kind of corporate jobs 2-3 years and then move, or actually you're there for quite a long time. And a lot of people at the company were there for a very long time. So I was very comfortable there. But then I did question, was it too comfortable sometimes? I could kind of do stuff in my sleep and it was a little bit repetitive. So then I thought, well, I need to do something else. And that's when I thought about doing a qualification. I thought I could do one in marketing. I've got one, but I'll just, maybe do CPD or something. I'll have a look at it. And then I thought, why? Kind of got to where I want to get to with my corporate job. I want to do something different. I'd been practicing yoga since school, so a long time. Always had dance movement in my life, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I did a lot of yoga in lockdown. It was kind of my savior during that time. And then so when we came out of lockdown and there was a course in Bedford, I was like, the stars have aligned. Let's go. So rather than do something in something I already had a lot of experience with, I thought, let's just do something completely not totally random, because dance was still movement was still really ingrained in me from a very young age, but actually I'm not going to focus on the corporate stuff. I'm going to do that instead.
Amazing. Did you have any fears, anything that almost made you not take that leap? was there anything that came to mind that made you think, oh, 'cause there's probably going to be people listening or watching who maybe want to start their own businesses, but because people are scared.
Yeah.
It's a scary
Yeah.
thing to take that leap, isn't it? So did you have any moments where you almost didn't do it, or what were the thoughts that were going through both of your heads, you know, when you came to that point?
Yeah. So financially terrifying.
Yeah.
Going from a nice, stable, same amount of money each month from a corporate job for my entire working career to then all of a sudden going, oh God, I have no idea what's coming in next month. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Very lucky I've got a supportive family, very supportive partner who was like, look, I've got this, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly, with the timelines of being on mat leave, I had to rely quite heavily on Tom as well from a financial provision point of view.
Yeah.
So we kind of tested that already, and it was like, okay, and I'd be earning a bit from yoga, so I was able to contribute, which was heavily important to me.
Yeah.
But it was like, you know, you've kind of had a year of that already, so why not? And I started the business really when Archie was 6 months old, knowing he'd go to nursery at 12 months. So I was like, well, I've got 6 months here. Again, I didn't have that pressure, so very lucky to go, well, you make it work or you don't.
Yeah.
It was the fear of the unknown, not knowing if I'd get clients, not knowing what would happen. But as I said earlier, very lucky to be recommended and then kind of learn my way through it. So I kind of had a bit of a weird trial run before going, right, Archie's in nursery. This is now
go for it.
Like, let's go. So that, I guess that kind of really worked in my favor. But the fear of not having, it's still there now.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to earn next month or the month after. I have an idea, but also someone might not rebook with me, or someone might say, oh, actually, I can't do that at the moment. Or, you know, it's the fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm confident in what I do and deliver, but the fear of not knowing what the money's going to look like.
And that's the constant thing, isn't it? As an entrepreneur, you could have a really incredible month and then the next month might not be so great.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you have that self-belief and you have that awareness that maybe that might happen, but the next month it will pick up again, then it's fine.
Yeah.
How about you, Danni?
I would say, there was so much fear because I literally was, just leaning into that self-employment. It was a very weird time, but I knew the clients were there. So the people that were coming into the salon way back when, before I started on my own, we'd had them for years. They were just ticking over. So I was so grateful for those people. But when I went on my own, there was a really sticky point, and sadly it's like this in the industry between hair and beauty, that people are so protective of clients. They feel like they are theirs, as we kind of briefly mentioned. So I was so worried that, oh my gosh, I've built relationship with these clients, but they're at that salon. I'm now moving on my own. Will they move over? Sadly, there wasn't so much scope as well for them being honest and saying that I'd gone on my own. So it was up to the clients to find me, which so thankful. So many of my little OGs have.
Yeah.
And we always reflect on the journey and like, oh my gosh, I remember when you gave me my first massage or first wax or whatever. And it's lovely.
You did their lashes in your bedroom.
Literally laying on the bed. It's so funny, honestly.
Love that.
But things have just changed and evolve over time, and you just have to trust in like the next stage, like you were saying, whatever you're doing next is going to work out for the better, and people come along with you for the journey. I feel like that's really important. And on my socials, I really try and do that as well, like bring people along for the ride of like behind the scenes stuff, because they're seeing your growth as well.
You do a great job of that.
With them.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you do. I love watching your stories and yours, both of yours.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's important though, isn't it?
Come along, for sure. Like, and it might inspire people as well. Like, if you're thinking about going on your own, just do it. Like, don't hold back for everything to be perfect. But that first little step on the ladder is the biggest leap you'll ever take.
And it won't always be perfect. You know, some people with their social media want to be so like clean and prim and proper and really like strategized, whereas I'm like the opposite of that. I'm like, I just post on inspiration. When I'm feeling like I want to post, I'll post. If I don't want to post, I won't post. But having that behind the scenes gets people to trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I definitely feel that way with both of you. You both do a really great job of that, where people will be watching you and they will trust you, which is why you're successful. You can tell what's authentic or what's not authentic.
Literally, I was just going to say that, like, authenticity for me is so up there, on so valued for me. I just think, you know, you're coming to see me as I am.
Yeah.
And I'll deliver the best possible massage for you, but also know that there's so much going on, like with the retreat stuff, particularly events that we've done. I think it's so lovely for people to grow with you through that. Personally, if I was like a customer, I would want to know what journey the person holding space for me has been on as well.
And it makes them know that you're not perfect because they're not perfect. And then you can relate to that rather than like, oh, that person's perfect all the time. I can't relate to that at all. I don't want to be around that person, you know? You've got to show that.
For sure.
What would you say your biggest challenges have been so far as a woman in business?
Oh, okay.
Actually, maybe we can break that question up. So as a woman in business, one part, but also just in business in general.
Experience-wise or just as a general?
Both.
Everything.
Okay. All of the above.
I had a funny story that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So there I had a situation, particularly as a woman. I was very young at the time, working in the salon I first started at. And we used to have this male client that would come in and I would clearly state, like, please, like, get changed, but wear your underwear. Here's the towel, cover yourself over, you know?
Yeah.
Every time I would come in, like, go to roll the towel down. There's no underwear there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, don't want this. Like, and now I feel like safeguarding is a massively spoken about, huge openness. So things would be so different. It's a bit like how we look at smoking in a pub. Back then wasn't a problem. Now would be like, absolutely no, leave. Because if one of the girls said that to me, I'd be like, never come back. Like, you're actually
there's no
banned off,
leeway now.
It's crazy. But then he complained that I wasn't going higher up on his leg, massaging. It's like, mate, no, like, no, thank you. But imagine if that was a man. Like, there would never be, like, if I was a male masseuse, would he complain to my boss that he wasn't working?
Of course he wouldn't.
Of course not.
Oh my God.
So that was just a bit crazy time. And I think for me, COVID was such a massive thing. So we had opened in 2020, 2019, October. We had to close by March the following year.
Wow.
So I just bought my home, literally got the keys on the 5th of March. We were closed by the 30th. I'm like, fantastic.
Shit.
I've got a mortgage to pay. And with what money?
God.
So I felt quite unsupported through that time. It was really weird.
Yeah. How did you deal with that?
Me and my sister would FaceTime each other, no makeup on, hoods up, looking like, man, this is so sad. This is not how we expected our first year of our business to look. Like, we are closed. Clients were dropping off, like cancelling their appointments left, right and centre before we had to close. It was the weirdest time.
It was a crazy time.
Yeah, and we did. I put together some little aromatherapy products. I named it Coxbox Wellness.
Love that.
I was out probably longer than my other half at the time doing deliveries. He would be home from work longer than I was like, oh, I'm just like got 5 more to do. Just pottering around in my car. That got me through being creative, I think.
Wow.
Just letting that creativity spark and putting bespoke little oil blends together.
That's amazing.
It was fun. Yeah.
That's really a really important point, actually. I think because in business, we're always going to come through obstacles, aren't we? There's always going to be twists and turns, things that we're not expecting, like COVID. Obviously, that's bigger than most things, but you have to learn to adapt. Being adaptable and being flexible is like a key trait of a successful entrepreneur. And that's
flexible.
something, being flexible. And I think a lot of people don't always have that. So to be able to have that is a really powerful thing. I want a Coxbox.
Yeah, it was great.
I
don't really do them
Make
anymore.
me a new one.
Oh,
bring Coxbox back.
It was great. I had so many plans to like open a shop with it and blah, 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 but then you know things happened and but you never know, guys. Maybe one day.
There's definitely always a demand for stuff like that. Just saying.
Always.
Gift boxes, personalised boxes, all that jazz.
Yeah, it's just so time consuming.
Yeah.
I love it, but I can't make an oil whilst I've got one hand massaging someone. It's very multitasking.
One thing at a time. 100%. What about you, Lauren? Challenges?
So I'm quite new to business, not anywhere near as experienced as you guys.
When did you start the marketing stuff?
So this time last year, that was when I started to realise that I wasn't going to go back to my corporate job. But officially, because obviously I had Archie near enough full time, obviously support with Tom and my parents, but I didn't properly start it until he went to nursery mid-June.
Okay.
So really only 7 months.
Not long, actually.
I know, it's quite terrifying when I say
smashing it for that. Yeah. You're doing what people are mostly doing 3 years down the line.
Thank you so much.
Love that.
Challenge wise, I think I haven't I guess what I'm trying to say is I haven't been in business that long to like really come across multiple challenges. From a corporate perspective, being a woman, so I used to work for a brewery, and that's very male dominated industry, and that was really tough. Being a woman in a room full of men a lot of the time. We talk about networking as well. My boss would very kindly, invite me to bigger networking events I never would have gone to before. He really had a belief in me, which I'm still super grateful for today. But I'd go there and go, and people go, "Oh, are you Tom's assistant?" Awkward. Tom was my boss and Tom is my partner. I don't want to get that confused. But,
Two different Toms.
But they'd say, "Are you Tom's assistant?" I'd be like, "No, I'm a marketing manager." Like, and you're like, but I was so quiet. And like we were saying, dim, that light was just so dim because everyone else was senior and I would be the only female in the room. And I went away and had a one-to-one with my boss. And I said, look, I don't want to be quiet. I'm not quiet. I'm confident and I'm loud. Like, I don't want to go to these things because they make me feel really naff. And so he said to me, well, what, he was always, don't come to me with a problem, come with a solution. So we talked through it and he said, look, personal branding, go away. LinkedIn's big platform for corporate. Go away. Almost like we talked about behind the scenes and showing your real self. Talk about what projects you work on. Talk about that amazing £1 million pub that you've just refurbished. Talk about it. And then when you get to these events with these people in the room, they're going to know a bit more. And so you talk about them. And it's honestly the best piece of advice I've ever been given, because when I went to the next event, people would come to me, "Oh, I just saw that puppy refurbed. I love how you did this and I love your ideas for this." And people would say, "Oh, I saw you went to that conference. How was it? I know someone else who went there." So all of a sudden there wasn't this small talk of going, "Sorry, who are you again?" Because I'd get that all the time. Sorry. And I just feel so small. And I fought it because I know that's not who I am. And he really helped me to build this picture of talk about what's behind the scenes, talk about the stuff you're doing, because people are interested. But then the minute you walk in the room, people know who you are. You're not just quiet. You're not Tom's assistant. You're not. I wasn't. I was a marketing manager in my own right. But being in a male dominated industry, I found quite difficult. So that was a challenge that I found for a lot of years. And then he gave me a great piece of advice, and it did change my career. People knew about me, and then in my reviews it would be, Lauren's great with relationships and communicating to others and building rapport, and that kind of stemmed from that. And that's what I do a lot now in business is like yesterday's, bring people together and allow them to tell their stories, and we can all build stories on social media, really authentic ones as well. I think you do it really well as well, Nat, we were saying.
Thank you.
But it's being honest. And I remember you messaged me, I put on my social media in December, because we say not just the highlights, all of us share lowlights too. I was severely burnt out, super poorly. And you messaged me like, "Oh my God, same." And I was like, but I was like, thank you. Because actually, whilst we can all be inspirational and that's great, we need to show both sides of things, don't we? Not just the highlights. And so actually it's really hard.
Totally.
Really
and
hard.
Actually, that's Georgia was meant to be on the podcast today. And, she won't mind me saying the reason she's not here, which she posted on her social media not long ago, is because she's feeling almost at that point of burnout. And she was like, I need to just prioritize some stuff. She's a mum. She's a single mum. She's running multiple businesses. She's in growth stage. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you do have to just be honest with yourself. And sometimes you can't do it all. We're not superhuman. And I think as an entrepreneur, we sometimes feel like we are superhuman to a certain degree because we wear so many different hats. Even if you're working with people, even if you're collaborating, even if you're doing all those things, you're still you, and you are your brand. So you have to do it all. And it's so important. Like, I want to hear more about your Wellness Wednesdays that you were talking about, because having those times of just, even if it's just a morning that you're taking off, or an afternoon, or one day on the weekend where you're not working, that is going to be so much more beneficial than if you just try and do it all and then you do burn out. So shout out to Georgia, because
we love you.
She should be here, but she's not here. I've forgotten what we were talking about now. Your challenges.
The challenges, yeah. So that was what I found in corporate. More personally, I guess, being a mum, Archie went through a really bad phase of sleep. Well, I had a bad phase of sleep deprivation around the time I was launching the business, which I would talk about my stories, and clients were very supportive and understanding, which was great. But I was in a hole for a long time.
Really?
I got a sleep coach. Shout out Gemma.
Yeah.
Very kind.
Yeah.
Very kind of her. And it's changed our world. Archie now sleeps. But it was super difficult because I was running on empty. And that's ultimately, December was the absolute crux of it. That was the definition of, we just got Gemma to come and help us I say help us, it sounds like she came to our house. She didn't. She lives in London.
Yeah.
But she wrote a plan that formulated for Archie, and it
Lovely.
worked honestly, instantly. I know I've spoken to you about Kimmy as well. You know, all these bits of advice to give, because
Yeah.
I was running a business and being a mum and running on, honestly, 2 hours sleep a night for a long period of time.
Wow.
Like, people say, oh, babies don't sleep. From 6 months, really,
Yeah.
they should. I called Gemma at 16 months. So
Really?
I'd had a really long period of sleep deprivation.
Wow.
But again, from a non-corporate perspective, everyone was so kind, and people would say, I understand, it's okay, you know. Or if I say, guys, I'm really sorry, I can't do it today, like I've got nothing, I'm a shell of a woman, people say, that's fine, we'll just rearrange.
And honesty, like you said, that honesty, you know, going back to Georgia, she could have turned up today and she wouldn't have given her best self because she would have been absolutely exhausted. So it's so much better to just be honest. And there's always other people in your situation. Sometimes I think we feel like we're alone in entrepreneurship and we're the only person going through this or that. And it's never the case.
No.
We're all in it together, the highs and the lows. Should we talk a bit about social media?
Yeah.
Because as we've already, it is so important. And as we've briefly discussed already, you know, being authentic, sharing things, letting people trust you, all those things are so, so key. How do you both use social media? If you could describe that, just how do you use it for business purposes?
I'll let you go first, because I have a really marketing answer. So
A really technical answer over there.
I would say probably in the last 18 months at a push, I've really tried to show up not perfect with so many things. Like, there would be so many stories that I'd like refilm over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, don't like that. Oh, that bit of hair's out of place. Oh, my brows are very wonky today. But I just think, like, just be real. And I try and use it. I have a bit of a balance now. I feel like I do kind of share a bit of like personal stuff as well as what I'm doing in salon, any new launches, and just consistency, but with not a massive structure. If I'm doing something fun with my nan, which I took her to the plant shop, we had a great day.
That's so sweet.
This is really nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to share it because also it shares our pals at Nelly Moser, and it's like something really cute. So I try and use it as a bit of an all-rounded platform. One thing I do struggle with sometimes is actually my personal Instagram versus my business one. Because I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a different person.
Do you have two separate accounts?
I have two separate accounts. And it's just always been that way. Back when I was with Georgia, I've just carried on because that's where predominantly my clients are. So they know to reach me on that account, whereas I'm not too active on my personal one. But it's that fine balance of like, oh, what do I feel most comfortable sharing on my personal account versus my business? It's really funny.
Do you find it harder to post on your personal account?
I'd be way more panicky about what I'm putting on there, like on my stories, but slowly I'm starting to share on both, because I do have people that perhaps don't follow me on my business one, but might be interested in something. Like, people I've known back from school, they might not follow me on there, but I'm trying to cross them over like slightly. But it's very funny. So just utilising the platform as much as I can, but being real.
Being really real.
Real. How about you?
Real reels.
Come on, marketing
I was
queen.
going to say a technical answer, which Nat will know.
You don't pan out.
Well, it relates to what I was saying about personal branding, actually, is, and I share this with a lot of clients who struggle with social media. So they have a good bank of clients, you know, they're doing lots of stuff, but they don't know how to talk about it. Actually, the story function on Instagram is the best place for you to do that, to be authentic, but to show people what you're doing. And also, I think it gives people another dimension of understanding the effort that you put in. So for our collab events, and you're talking about your retreats, you and Georgia took everyone on a great journey of saying, you know, we're prepping, we're doing the meal prep, you know, and yourself with the other Lauren. There's two Laurens, it's very confusing.
Two Laurens.
With Lauren and Amy. You know, you take them on that journey of going, we're prepping these, you know, the boxes. I came on your retreat in December, and the little box of goodies was a lovely surprise, but I know the effort that you'd gone to, because it's not just we're holding an event. It's like, actually, we're booking a location. We have a meeting with the location. We have a meet to discuss what's going to happen. What does your perfect event look like? You know, and there's so much that goes into it. Buying the goods, going to Costco, whatever it is. Actually, if you bring people on that journey, the appreciation I feel and the value that they get from it is so much more, because they go, because I've done it before. I've rocked up to an event and thought, this is great. thanks guys, walked home. But then you go, actually, they would have had to ordered this, done this, the logistics, the operations, like there's so much more to it. So the story function, whatever industry you're in, I think really delivers that message and that story of this is what you're doing and this is the services that you offer. A lot of clients, and myself included, find it really hard to be salespeople, to say, come and do this, come and join me. It's got to pay the bills, so we know we've got to do it. But how do you, if you're not a natural salesperson, which a lot of us aren't, how do you do that? Well, actually show them what you're doing. I know you do your attention ritual release because a lot of people post about it and regram you, which is then that real-time feedback and that recommendation piece of going, actually, I know Christina from the Floral Barn, so great that she went to see you. Maybe next time I'll go. And that's how you market your business. Is actually grid fine, important, reels fine. Stories for me every time.
Stories. Yeah, I fully agree with you. And yes, people don't like sales, but we're all sales. We're all sales.
We have to be.
And we have to be. And there's a really great book. Are you guys familiar with Grant Cardone? He's got a book called Sell or Be Sold. And the summary of it is basically you're either always, every single conversation you have, even me just saying this to you now, I'm either selling this information to you or you're going to sell something back to me. Sell or be sold. Every single conversation, you are a salesperson, even if it's just an opinion, you know? And I think something which just everyone in general, but specifically entrepreneurs should be aware of is that you have to just get comfortable with the fact that you're a salesperson, because I've had loads of conversations. I even used to be like that, where I'd be like, but I'm not a salesperson. But I am a salesperson, you know, like we all are, and we've got to just get comfortable with that.
It's just like soft selling, isn't it, in a way? If you don't feel comfortable being like, buy this from me, this is my product, and delivering that, you can talk about your services without, you know, overtly selling them. But you're still selling. You know, I have a power hour just before this. I'll post about it afterwards. And then people go, oh, she does power hours. What's that? Let's have a look. Then it will be on my main grid. So it's always linking to, it's that like authentic, like we were talking about, you know, isn't it? It's that soft selling, that constant marketing, but without ramming it down people's throats and exclusively saying what you're saying and what you're selling. Actually, you're just giving like little hints and little nudges often and consistently enough. With that loop of that lovely real-time feedback with regramming people to go, hello, this is what I offer and it's really nice, so please buy me.
Don't forget, this is what I do. And it's just being like not being ashamed of doing that. I think being comfortable with doing that, because knowing your value, right? Know your worth. If you know you've got a good service and a good product, why would you be afraid of wanting people to know that? But then that does come down to opening up a can of worms of your self-worth and all of that kind of stuff, which actually brings me on to my next question about limiting beliefs. So did you, or do you, because I think we all probably have a degree of limiting beliefs, no matter how much work we do on ourselves. Where does that sit with you guys? Where are you at in terms of your own limiting beliefs with regards to your business?
Danny's like, you go first.
You go first, Lauren.
So imposter syndrome is so real for there's not one person I've met that doesn't say it. It varies in levels. Some people maybe with more years of experience, you know, 10, 12 years of experience, like, no, actually I'm really comfortable with where I am. I know a couple of clients in my head. Great. Love that for you. Everyone else is like,
but that's not me.
I'm like, not me, absolutely not me. I think there's a difference between confidence and limiting that self-belief. So I feel like I'm a confident individual, like happy to come on today and talk to you, talk to clients, run yesterday, great. Imposter syndrome is so real. Like I had a meeting the other day, Keach Hospice, amazing charity in Bedfordshire, and she was like, I want you to be part of the team, and I was like, but I can't, I don't want, lovely to Melissa, but I was like, but I can still be part of your team but freelance. So that's what, because I don't want to lose the business side of things. But I drove up to that hospice knowing the hospice, it's a family name in Bedfordshire, you know, it's a household name, everyone recognizes it, and I was like, what's happening? Like, I'm driving to Keach to meet their head of marketing, who I would love to work for one day. Like, you know, when I was thinking back to my younger self and going, God, look at, if she knew where you were going today, you'd left that job, you'd gone and started a business, and you've got a baby, and you're driving to Keach Hospice. And I got that real, it was a lovely pride moment, but then it was can I swear?
Of course.
Okay, great. Oh, fuck, what am I doing? I forgot to ask you before. It was a fuck, what am I doing? I'm not good enough to be here. Melissa's followed me online. Lovely that she's followed me and she's reached out and all of that. But I was like, I'm not good enough to drive up to the hospice and then get there and see the hospice itself. And I had a tour and the wonderful facilities, like really, really powerful. And then meet with Melissa in the cafe. And I was like, honestly, in my head, I was saying the right things and I knew I could deliver what she wanted. But in my head, I was going, fuck, literally, like, I can't. Now I know I can swear. But I was like, this is just me. It's little old Lauren. Like, I can't deliver you a marketing campaign. And then it's working on that, isn't it? And I know we're all massive kind of advocates of working on yourself and working through it and going, no, we can do this because you've got the experience and you did that course and and then you have to build yourself up constantly. In my personal opinion, imposter syndrome is there every day. Some days more than others, depending on different factors. But you do have to do that work of and yoga and well-being and all of that lovely stuff that we're all into really helps
100%
to go, actually, I can do this and I will do this.
And I think regardless of knowing that you can do it, like, like you just said, you're a confident person, you know that you can deliver on your marketing, otherwise you wouldn't be where you are today, but you still have those thoughts. And I think that's totally normal. I've worked with coaches before where they're like, imposter syndrome isn't a thing.
Oh my God, it is.
And I'm like, but it is a thing. And we all have it, regardless of how well you think you can do something or you can do something, it is still going to creep up. So I think rather than trying to like fix it, just accept it and just know, like you said, some days that voice is going to be louder than others and that's fine. That's just going to be that day. The next day it will be quieter and you're going to crack on anyway. But yeah, I can relate to that 100%. I remember when I first started teaching reformer Pilates, I was like, what am I even doing? Like, how am I here?
What's happened?
What is happening? Like, it was such a quick process. And I genuinely like turned up to my first class and I was like, oh my God, I genuinely had that feeling of, can I actually do this? How have I got here? And then you teach the first class and you're like, of course I can do that. And then that feeling goes, but it is always there, especially when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, which we all do. It's just normal. So I think just accepting it and telling it to quieten down now
Just
and
be
then.
quiet.
How about you?
I would say, actually, saying about the time element of things, when things happen at such a pace, I personally feel like I have to catch up with myself. So I'm like, oh my God, hang on. Like, wow, we're on the ride. And it's like, I can do this because all this has been put in place. Great. But now we're here. So let's roll with it. So I think definitely, catching up with yourself is a massive thing and feeling quite reflective of the work you've done to almost solidify in your mind, like, this is your next step now. It's okay. Let's jump. Because there has been so many opportunities that have come my way and I'm like, oh my God, can I do that? Like, I'm just in my little room massaging one-to-one. This is lovely. And now I've got 20 pairs of eyes on me following what I'm doing. Like, what? But it's the process that you have to go through. So definitely for me, like catching up with yourself and just allowing that imposter syndrome thing to be like, it's cool, it's your next step, go for it, this is what you've wanted. Massive like advocate for manifestation and working towards what you want. Back in like way before COVID times, I hate how we use that as a staple time.
I know.
But probably about 8 years ago, in my Amazon basket in Saved, I put like meditation cushions. I've always wanted to run group workshops, but it didn't feel like I had the confidence to sit there and have people all look at me. Like I say, I'm such a one-to-one girly. Even with my friendships sometimes, like just going one-to-one, it works really well for me. And then to see like, oh wow, it's time now for that Amazon basket to, let's get these ordered, like things are happening. That was a real like pivotal moment for me, I think.
Isn't
like,
that
stuff
amazing
like
though, when you see stuff like that come together, especially when you do your vision boards and stuff and then you see things and you're like, that was on my vision board. But it's so powerful, all that stuff.
Oh, it's magical.
It really is. What do you guys do to take care of yourself? Because being an entrepreneur, as we've just said numerous times, it can lead to burnout. We get stressed. We get all these feelings of imposter syndrome and limiting beliefs and all these sorts of things. And it is so important to take that time for ourselves. So do you have any set routines? You mentioned your Wellness Wednesday, so tell me about those.
I love my Wellness
And just
Wednesdays.
in general, what do you do to look after you?
I'm a massive journal fan. I journal a lot. I have books and books and books under my bed that through the years I've just written it and always date them because it's so lovely to look back on that day to be like, oh, what was I doing 5 years ago today? So journal a lot. Always got a pen in my hand. I'm such a pen and paper kind of girl. Like even if I go for a meeting, I'm always rocking up my notebook, aren't I? Like this is it for me.
Our brain works differently, pen to paper. So I'm all for that.
I love it. And just seeing those like tangible things that you can then action. I'm quite a visual person. So if I need to kind of get something done, I'll always take like 5 minutes before I leap out of bed in the morning. Like, this is how my day's going to go today. I thought about today. Filming day. Like, okay, just show up as my best self. It's going to be fine.
Set some intentions.
Set the intention with it. Yeah. I love affirmations. I find they're a really powerful tool for me. And that's another thing. I feel like in the wellbeing industry, there are so many different tools you could utilize. But it's actually finding what works for you and what's most sustainable. Because it's all well and good if you can, dip in your cool pool in the morning. But if you're not going to stick with that, then like it's not going to be a routine that you're going to benefit from, right? So my Wellness Wednesdays came about when I thought I need a day just for me, and I really try and be quite mindful how I move in the day, eat really nicely, move my body, whether that's a lovely longer walk with my little dog in the woods. I love being in the woods.
Love that.
And just like ground and just take a minute we're midway through the week, take a little reset, back to work for the rest of the week.
That's so nice that you do that midweek as well, because that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like it's become a bit trendy. I always on my Wednesday, like, Happy Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so many clients are like, Happy Wellness Wednesday. Like, today I'm getting a green juice from the gym. It could be the smallest of things. But it's just that moment of like, let's turn it inward. It's midweek. And then obviously yesterday we had the photo shoot. So it was so lovely to be just surrounded by such amazing people. And I have been taking off a half day on a Tuesday.
Nice.
Which works really well. Just have a bit of an evening because my work sometimes can be a lot of evening shifters if my clients come after work. So having that Tuesday, it took a lot for me to take a half day off. I was like, I'm losing so much money. But actually, like, how am I going to gain so much more than the actual profitable monetary value of it? Yes. I need more time. Even things like cleaning your house. I personally feel so much clarity when I've had a good clean, saged, Palo Santo'd, reset the energy is good to go, So good.
So you know how you were saying it's all well and good to have your plunge pool in the morning if that's something you're going to stick to and stuff. And I think morning routine is such a big thing, isn't it? And so many people are like, you've got to wake up at 5 a.m. because that's when success happens and all that stuff. And I do fully believe that there's huge benefits in all of that. I'm a morning girl, never used to be, but I'm a massive morning girl and I find it the most productive. There's a reason why that's a thing. But I've got clients who are nurses. They have shift work. There is absolutely no way that they can get up at 5 a.m. on some days. And because they've been conditioned by what they've seen on social media or from previous people they've worked with or whatever, where they're literally told, unless you wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, you're not going to be successful. They feel guilty if they sleep in a little bit longer and don't get their morning routine done. And I've said to these people, I'm like, look, everyone's life is different. Everyone's situation is different. My situation now, I used to live on my own. I had literally no one to worry about other than my cat. I now live with my partner and my stepson. So my morning routine now is very different to what it was when I lived on my own. And I think it's really important for people to understand that there's no right or wrong when it comes to looking after yourself. You have to do what, works best for you and fit it in your schedule because everyone's schedule is different. Like you said, you work evenings, so you're going to take half a day off on a Tuesday and don't feel guilty about that. Like just own that and
do what feels best for you. I think there can be some things on social media that we see that can feel like so toxic around things.
So toxic.
And just being like, actually, what's going to work well for my routine? What's going to work well for my family? Like, were you with Archie? Like, there's no way you could get out just not taking your phone and your doggy without having being mindful of your family at home. Everyone's routine is going to be different, but as long as it works for you and you're moving mindfully into your day,
exactly,
that's all you can do.
100%. How about you, Lauren? What do you do?
I used to wake up at 4 a.m.
Okay.
because of Archie. No, because of Archie. Didn't add any more success to my life. You were saying that, I was like, I literally used to wake up at 5 a.m. daily. No, just kidding. But the things that I do, and actually what Danny said is really reflective of actually everyone is so individual with what they do. And like you said on social media, plunge pool, great. Like it's a big trend at the moment. And I think commercially as well, a lot of companies play on wellness. Whereas like with what you two do, and very much people I know in the wellness industry from Bedford, it's not that way. It's a real true actual well-being towards yourself, rather than buy this brand and buy that brand and everything. You know, there's so it's really overwhelming, especially when, again, from a like marketing background, but when you become a new mom, it's really overwhelming, and they bombard you. They just know, because of what you've Googled, like pregnancy symptoms and what happens in labor and whatever you've Googled, everyone's then like, right, by you as an individual, and you get thrown supplements and this and that and this is going to make labor better, and you're like, okay, but fine, like, because it's quite a fearful time and a complete change to your life. So I think there's a difficult thing on social media with commerciality, and actually a lot of people preying upon that
100%.
and saying, like you say, you'll only be successful if you wake up at 5. Well, actually, thank you, Gemma. Archie wakes up at 6:30 now. We have a lovely morning routine. Tom and I, a couple of days a week, we walk Fleur first thing, our little dog. You know, we have a lovely morning routine with him and breakfast shared together and all that lovely family experience. Actually, that sets me up for the day. It's a routine, but it sets me up to. It also makes sure I eat breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast I was up at 3:30 in the morning. I just didn't eat until lunchtime because I was just I didn't cross my mind. That was not a priority at the time. So actually having that mindful breakfast and eating is really important to us. And knowing that it can change as well. So before pre-Archie, I was part of a CrossFit gym, and I'd work super hard and do all the workouts and adrenaline, and I loved it. And it was like absolute my fit girl era, like lockdown. I loved it. That's not going to happen now because I'm just not the same person. That's fine. I go for a swim twice a week. Lovely. That's what I do for me. It's still exercise, but it's mindful exercise. It's a lovely pool. I go on a Monday and a Friday, so start my week, end my week. And actually a lot of the time things come up. So then I'll be like, Danny, on voice note, I just thought of this, because I've given myself that space. If I just worked constantly, you just wouldn't have that. And it's difficult, I think, when a lot of my friends aren't self-employed, and so they don't always and again, Instagram. Oh, you went for a swim at 9. Good for you. It's like, but then when Archie went to bed and Tom went to rugby, I worked for 3 hours solid and I didn't actually stand up at all. So it's like, it's having, I think entrepreneurship is so lovely because you can be, it has its pros and cons, but that flexibility of going, I am going to take a Tuesday afternoon off actually, or, Tuesdays are slightly lighter for me meeting wise, because I know that when Archie goes to bed at 6:30, I will then work until Tom gets home at 9:30 because he's at training, and that's what I want to do, and that suits me and it suits our family. So I think it's not completely straight narrative. It can change, but that's okay as long as you're feeling good and you are taking that, whatever that looks like, swimming, walking, anything that we're doing, cleaning, whatever serves you is important to do.
No, totally. I always say you can only have 2 priorities in your life at one time. So self-care obviously should be a priority for all of us, but sometimes when you've got a child and a business and perhaps an ill family member or God knows what else, you can only have 2. So sometimes things do have to give, and I think it's really important to just make sure that you're aware of saying, okay, right, for the next month or for the next 2 months or the next 3 months, even week by week, you're going to prioritize this and this, and then reevaluate, and then there'll be more time for this and this. Like fitness, for example, for me, I recently gave up personal training because I got to a point by the end of last year when we were in that burnout phase.
The burnout December.
It was not fun. Burnout December 2024. Where I had no time for myself. All the things which I truly love and enjoy, which I pipe up to everyone else to make sure they're doing, like going for their outdoor walks, getting good sleep, going to the gym, all those things, I genuinely did not have time to do them because I was so busy. And yes, you can make time for what you want to make time for, but you can only make time for your priorities. And it just wasn't a priority for me because everything else was becoming more and more important. And I got to the point where I was like, no, like this is ridiculous. Something has to give. And I just went, do you know what? This is something which I'm no longer passionate about. It's the one thing in my routine in terms of my work where I'm showing up for where I don't really want to be showing up for. And that's the sign, right? Let's not get it to the point where I then resent it.
Yeah.
Release that. And now I'm back to training 3 times a week, just signed up for bloody High Rocks. God help me. Please all pray for me. But do you know what I mean? Now I have the time to do those things because it is a priority again. So having, just being aware of that, I think, is really important.
And I think sometimes people think productivity is being super busy all the time. Like I must. And actually, and it is thanks to Danny. Like, cute, but it is about hearing about your Wellness Wednesday and hearing about your half day. And again, having like biz friends is so nice because corporate girlies don't, and I was there, so I've experienced it, but you don't understand that actually take that time back, and productivity doesn't mean being busy all the time. It means taking those gaps, because then actually it gave me the headspace to think about our vision board workshops. It gave me the space to be able to meet you on a Tuesday afternoon, because I knew, and just knowing those things, I go, actually Danny's free Tuesday afternoon, let's talk about it. Actually other things can grow because of it.
100%.
Not being flat out all the time.
You've got to, and also just changing your environment.
Yes.
That's where magic happens. Every single time I go anywhere, whether it's a holiday, even just a day, like you said, a day off, a day somewhere not in your usual environment, my brain just goes and I'm like, that's what I need to do. Happened with the podcast. It's happened with various other things, like pivotal things, because I took myself away and I'm like, you need to do that. Otherwise you're just on autopilot the whole time. Okay. A couple more questions for you guys. Can you think of any particular moments where failure has been a thing in your business, where at the time you've thought, oh my God, I've really fucked up, or like, this is not good, or, those negative thoughts, but actually that particular moment has led you to a positive place? Can you think of any pivotal moments?
Last year, me and other Lauren, so she's a yoga teacher, and we team up and run our retreats together. And we had this lovely idea to run a weekend retreat up at Polehanger Farm, a lovely venue near Moggahanga. And we were like, great, let's do all the marketing we can. Let's get it on board. Let's run this weekend retreat. So it was going to be a Friday night into Saturday full weekend, maybe even the Sunday morning, actually. It was getting quite close to the time, and obviously with these things, deposits needed to be paying. Tickets were not coming through, and we were like, this is worrying. What do we do? And we were like, oh my gosh, we've failed. Like, this is our first weekend retreat, and something's not going right. So we sat down. We always go to De Paris. I love De Paris for a little meeting. Sit in the same spot and was like, what shall we do here? We can keep the venue. Let's keep that weekend. How can we twist it? So we thought, okay, let's run a Friday night event separately and a day retreat on the Saturday. Have the Sunday to ourselves, because that come down is so important when you've held space for a lot of people. So we were like, okay, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's try and we're going to pivot. We called it our pivot, and we actually marketed it as that.
Love that.
As our pivot moment to have an evening retreat and a full day, and it sold out.
Wow.
Both events. We were like, oh my God, thank goodness we didn't we could have hung up the gloves and be like, do you know what? Okay, fine, we've failed. Let's just cancel the weekend, do as we would have worked as we would have. But now we've actually decided to carry that on for this year as well, because it works so well and actually gave us the space, because hosting people overnight is a completely different time. We had time on the Saturday morning. Well, actually, roll back to the Friday night. We got pizza from M&S, whacked it in the oven when everyone had gone home.
Love that.
Just had like a lovely reflection downtime of what the space would held for those evening clients, but was able to prep for the day. But imagine if those clients had stayed overnight.
It's a lot.
Did you, when you ran your retreat, did they stay with you overnight?
Two nights.
2 nights. So you have to put breakfast. Everything is on you guys, right?
It's a lot. And I love that. I love that. I love that idea of hiring the space for the whole time, but running the separate events.
It worked so
brilliant.
good.
That's a really genius move.
It was so good, and we're so happy we did it. And like I say, this year will be the same. So it's just changed our mindset around it, and we didn't realize how much we needed that time in between each one. So that was a massive moment for me, thinking, oh my God, we failed, but no, we just pivoted, and it was a magic.
Amazing. And that's also a really good reminder of never change the goalpost, but trust that the journey probably will change.
Exactly.
Because it will always change for the better.
Mm.
Everything happens for a reason. I know you guys are believers in that.
Yeah.
And if something isn't working, it's for a reason that is going to benefit you somehow, whether you change the goalpost or you did, even if you did cancel the event, something better would have come later. Yeah. So I think that's a great reminder.
100%. And it's so important when you're in the depths of anything, when you think this is a really shit time, as annoying as it is, and I never want to give that positive poly toxic traits.
Yes.
That used to happen a lot with me when
Yeah.
I hated being in that time of depths of really shitty time,
Yeah.
and only saw the positive, but actually sit within that for a minute.
Yeah.
How in good time, when is that better situation going to come about?
Yeah.
And my family members noticed it as well, and I was like, wow, Dan, you're not just like throwing out some positivity. And I was like, no,
You're not
let's
just saying
sit
everything's
with it
gonna be
for a minute.
amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to
Yeah.
get there, but sitting with it and just knowing, having that inner knowing, like in good time, this is going to work
Yeah.
out for the better in any situation.
Yeah.
It really helps that mindset, I think. Yeah.
I'm all for that. Could not agree more. How about you, Lauren?
So mine's slightly controversial.
Love a bit of
I
controversial.
think I saw when I was going through my return to work journey with my previous employer, I felt like that was a failure to me. Oh, I've not talked about this before. It's really interesting. Yeah. I felt like it was a failure. I'd been there for 8.5 years, as I said previously, very loyal to them, grew the ranks, flew up the ranks, like very close to my boss, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And they started to make life difficult. I won't go into certain things, but
Sure.
they started to make life very difficult for me coming back and going against their word that they'd said before. And it was a very messy process.
Yeah.
But the hardest part for me was I felt like they didn't want me back.
Right.
I was like, but why are you not agreeing to what I'm saying? And I was within my employment rights, law,
Yeah.
let's just state that now, like everything was, all my ducks were in a row.
Yeah.
I felt like there was just this, I felt like it was a failure because I felt like they didn't fight hard enough for me to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting a bit emotional, sorry.
That's okay.
and
That's okay.
it did feel like that because I was like, but why? Like, I'm giving you good scenarios rather than a lot of people, and this is no disrespect to anyone, but I had a really big plan ahead of me of going, they've given me so much, how can I give them something back after mat leave? So rather than do, say, traditional norms of mums going back to work is 3 days a week and then 2 days off. So 3 days full-time in nursery, work full-time, and then have a Thursday and Friday off, or Monday, Friday, whatever that looks like. I managed a team and I thought, well, I don't want to not be available on a day, because if there's a big project that lands and within refurbs and marketing and everything, it was always quick. We were always kind of on the last leg. It was always like rushed through. I thought, if I've got a problem if one of my team members has a problem on a Friday and I've not been in since Wednesday, and then I'm not in again until Tuesday, say, they've got 2 days where they're going to sit there and go, shit, I need Lauren, and it's just going to be this horrible, like, when's Lauren in? And I've had previous bosses where it happened before as well, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. So I said I'd go in every day, so reduced hours, but Monday to Friday. So if any of my team needed me, they knew the times that I would be there, and I'd be there every day for them, obviously excluding holidays and stuff. So I really tried to make it a fair process, not just for the company but for the team. So when the journey started happening and it wasn't playing out how I wanted to, it was very frustrating, very sad, but it felt like a failure because in my head I was like, why are you not fighting for me?
Yeah.
Because in the end I went, okay, what happens if I give him my notice? Like a bit of a like, what are you going to do about it then? Because you've driven me to a point now where, and you two know me personally as well, it takes a lot to get there.
Yeah.
I'm a very fair, positive person.
Yeah.
Drove me to that point where I went, what happens if I do that then?
Yeah.
Come on then, because I'd already got the stuff in the background going. So I was like, not the end of the world if they turn around and say, okay. And they turned around and said, okay, well, we don't want that to happen, but if you want to. But they were not budging on any of the points. So it felt, that to me was such a failure, because I felt I'd given so much for so long. I'd been away, obviously had a baby. I was planning on coming back and giving them the world. And then there just wasn't that mutual respect back. And so whilst I'm so pleased that it did happen, and a big pivot, and the business is where it is now, and I'm very proud of that. For me, that's all I knew. I didn't know the new world yet. I didn't experience all the lovely stuff I had. I was sat in this place of going, why are you not fighting for me to come back? You know, I'm quite senior within the business. I was, geared up for another promotion after coming back after having a baby, and there was this whole like feeling of the failure of going, and it just made me feel really small for a while. Going, why don't you, literally like a little girl, like, why don't you want me? Like this
Low
rejection.
self-value.
Yeah, just going, why are you not agreeing to points that I'm trying to actually make your life easier and the whole journey of it. So yeah, that was a in my opinion, so, you know, I don't see it that much anymore as a huge failure, but at the time, pivotal failure in my life of going, oh my God, you don't want me anymore.
Yeah.
What happens now?
Yeah.
You know, and thinking, okay, well, I've kind of got this stuff in the background anyway. I started to get feelings of failure along and I like to be very stable. So I think that's why I kind of started setting things in motion in the background. But yeah, I'd say that was probably a failure in my eyes. I know not everyone will see that, but that's how I saw it at the time.
Yeah.
But then actually led me to here.
Exactly.
So.
And it always does.
Yeah.
It always leads you to a better place. I think as well, just on that point, it's really interesting because in the corporate world or in anything, if it's not your own, you are replaceable.
Yeah, massively.
And, you know, I've not had an office job. I've not worked for somebody else for 11 years. And I know that I'm unemployable at this point. Like, you know, when you're so on working on your own business that you see things in such a different way.
Yeah, massively.
And I have friends who work in the 9 to 5 and have great jobs, office jobs, which I think there's, you know, absolutely a space for. And I love that for those people. But some of them work into the ground, like kill themselves for someone else when ultimately if you drop dead tomorrow, sorry to be brutal, you're going to be replaced.
Yeah.
And I think people need to be a bit more aware of that. And I'm not saying everyone needs to be an entrepreneur because not everyone does need to be an entrepreneur. And I think, you know, it takes a certain person to be an entrepreneur. But I think sometimes people forget when you are working for somebody else that you are just replaceable. And that's a really great example of that. And look how shit that made you feel.
Yeah, awful. And you're right. I think to your point with corporate, and again, like you said, like corporate, there needs to be corporate because we wouldn't have jobs if there wasn't corporate. But the, towards the end of, well, I guess kind of trying for a baby, and that kind of changes your mindset a little bit because you go, I can't work as hard as I do, you know, as in like mentally, I need to be in a good place to be able to conceive and all the rest of it. And Tom would see me, and Sunday I'd be like, oh, just gonna go do some emails.
Yeah.
Tom would be like, sorry, what? I'm just gonna, so I can get ahead for tomorrow. He's like, are you literally joking me?
Yeah.
I was like, no, that is what I do. And it was a new relationship at the time. And he was like, what? Like, but you get paid to work when you're at work. What are you doing now? But I'd always done it. And I think I came out of a long relationship just prior to COVID. Again, gutted when I was made, when I was on furlough. Like, again, that was actually a bit of, I felt like a failure. Like, why don't you want me? I'm important. Like, make me feel important, but actually lovely. Nice little time off.
Yeah.
But it was that, why am I giving so much? And it took for Tom to come into my life and go, literally, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing all that? Why are you above and beyond? And why I was going to London and at the time it was like sold the dream, right? Go to London and work on a bar for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we won't give you any time back. Okay, sign me up.
Okay.
Like I'd literally because I had that strong loyalty and I was such a deer in headlights and it sounded fun. And because I was really close and still am very close to some of them, but you know, like Marcus was going, I was like, yeah, me and Marcus, lads weekend. Like, and then I get back on the Monday, be absolutely exhausted. Lads weekend. Working behind a bar, but we drank. Big beer festival, super fun. Like, and it was fun. But the older I got, and Tom is older than I am, and I think that kind of helped because he was like, but it's like I was 28 at the time. You're 28, like you're not 18 anymore. It's not fun. They're literally making you go because they don't want to go. I was like, what? And he was like, is Tom going? I was like, I think he's going on the Friday to like network and go for some beers. And he was like, yeah. And who's the mug that's working behind the bar all weekend? And I was like, oh. And I just didn't see it because I had such a love, and I was a little bit blinded, I guess, by the love that I had for the company that actually sometimes I was taken advantage of. And it's taken a long time to realize that. Some opportunities were great and I learned a lot from them, but ones like that where I then just never saw that time back again. And you know, I get to stay in a hotel in London. Definitely just a travel lodge, shit end of London. Like it wasn't like ideal. Sounds glam, wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was that realization of actually sometimes, and the point I'm trying to make is it's difficult when you have friends who are entrepreneurs. Sorry, who aren't entrepreneurs. They struggle that sometimes, and until you're out of something, you don't realize sometimes how you're being treated and that you are replaceable. And it's a really brash thing to say,
100%.
but it's so true.
I'm currently having, and this is actually the first time I'm speaking about this publicly. I feel a bit nervous, but I'm currently, so I used to work a lot in network marketing, and I've recently been having some awakening.
Love that.
Around the whole thing.
Yes.
And I'm not going to speak in too much detail, but exactly what you just said, when you're looking back at, when you're out of something and you look back at how people behaved and what you were told and just general overall vibes and behaviors, which is so shocking to me right now. But during the time, you're so in it and you're so
sucked in.
And and you feel so like important and because you're getting the recognition because you're doing so well. And actually all you're doing is just making people shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And
making others' lives easier.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it all.
Yeah. And I'm having a massive thing about this at the moment.
I'm excited.
So that's interesting. I mean, the fact I'm saying that here and now is
going to happen.
I'm probably going to do a podcast episode on it.
Yeah, I love it.
Because there's a lot around that. But it's so true. You've got to be just mindful. And even as an entrepreneur, if you're a new entrepreneur as well, you can still be a target for people, you know, people who will see you as a benefit for them might then think, oh, she's new to it. He's new to it, you know, let's see what we can get from them. So you've definitely got to be mindful in that sense as well. My brain is going down like this whole other rabbit hole.
Network marketing.
Right. One more question for you both.
Yeah.
How do you feel that women can support people better in business at the moment?
Do you want me to go?
I feel like you're ready.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
Made for this question.
Collaborate. Danni and I say all the time.
Yes.
Collaborate over competition.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
There's not a need for women to pit against each other anymore and be competitive. You're always going to have people in your field. I know I could name you 6, 7, 8 different marketing agencies who do exactly the same as I do in Bedford. We all have different clients. Same with yoga. Everyone has a vibe. Everyone connects with someone differently. Also, sometimes clients go to both. That's fine.
Yeah.
Lydia goes to Laura and Amy. She comes to me.
Yeah.
Great. Love that. Like there shouldn't be, in my opinion, this element of competition. It should be seen as, especially when you're, like you're saying, on your own, you're doing great, carry on. You know, and not having that feeling of going, oh God, what's she doing? Oh, I need to go and look at what they're doing next because I'm not offering it. And no, just reach out. Exactly the same as we said earlier.
Yeah.
I just reached out to Danni. Hello, do you want to do this?
Will you work with me?
Yeah, literally. Emily Bateman. I actually listened back to the first voice note I sent Emily yesterday after the event because I thought, how on earth did I, you know, when you get somewhere and you go, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And I listened back. I'll probably make a reel of it with that as the audio because it's really lovely. It's just me, and I'm pushing Archie in his pram at the Ath, which is where it was yesterday. And I'm just like, hello, you don't know me. My name's Laura and I run a company called The Little Marketing Company. I've got an idea for International Women's Day. Heard you're great, want to chat. Like literally, that's all it is. And then Emily's like, it's all very formal. Now we're just like, hiya, da da da. But, you know, at the time she was like, hello, I'm Emily. Yes, please. I would love to chat more. And it was so formal, but it was voice note as well. You know, it was that moment of going, I want to do something and I want to collaborate. I don't want to do something on my own. I want to do something with someone else. And if you feel like you want to talk to someone, what's the worst that can happen? Someone can say, no, I'm really sorry, I'm at capacity, or I'm just not sure it aligns with me. Fine. That's fine. It's not supposed to be, you know, it's not meant to be. But if you just say, hi, I've seen what you're doing. I love what you're doing. So with Danni ran vision board workshops before for general public. Always sold really well. Always did great. Always great location at the salon. And then I thought, I've got an idea actually. I feel like this is something. Actually, I work with a lot of women in business who would really love to come to one of your workshops. Rather than just point you in one, why don't we make it a thing? Like, let's go and delve into it further. You know, have all your lovely vision board stuff, and Danni runs through everyone with like a brain dump, like you said, and a lovely working with essential oils and clarity and third eye chakra, like really lovely grounding stuff, really good at kind of setting the tone and the energy. Go into the vision board, super creative. And then I go and deliver a marketing kind of like masterclass of, okay, we've got this now, let's break these actions down so they're manageable, and then how can we market them too? And then it was like, okay, let's do this. Why not?
It literally just like went from one thing to another. But I feel like that's a real key point of when you're collaborating with someone, as we kind of mentioned, getting the vibes right from like
Yes.
day dot is so important, and having so much clarity
Yeah.
on what you're wanting to work towards. And it just seems such an easy split, didn't it? We were like, this
Yeah.
can't not work.
But that's
Why
when
would it not work?
that's when you know when something feels easy and effortless,
Yeah.
you're bang on alignment.
Yeah.
And that will always be successful. When something feels forced, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. And that was the point I was going to make, actually. Like, it's all right to pull back on things, as you briefly mentioned.
Yeah.
If you're kind of feeling like, oh, I don't think I've really got the heart and soul to really put everything into this
Yeah.
right now. Thank you, but
No,
are
thank
we
you.
okay to,
Yeah.
just park it for a bit, or maybe just as an overall
Yeah.
thank you politely? And that's okay.
Yeah. I love
vibes are
that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vibes.
What a great duo. That's a powerful combination for sure.
We've got some exciting plans.
Yeah. I
It's
can't
gonna
wait to hear all
be-
about them.
Yeah, it's really, and it's just things that naturally unfold as well. I think if you're collaborating with someone, it's so fine. I said to you, I love doing these events, but I look for also the next best thing in things as well.
Yes.
Like, this is all comfortable. We've done 3 now. What's
Yeah.
next?
Yeah. How can we move
And
forward, make it bigger?
How can we expand it? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And to just share that vision and always have so much transparency.
Yes.
There's a lot of therapists in Bedfordshire, all offering very different things.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to support them. Like you said, cheeky little
Yes.
DM. Hey girl, absolutely loving this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just support it.
Yeah. And that's one thing which really frustrates me is that whole kind of, like I said at the beginning, are they going to take my clients? This, like, that scarcity mindset. You're never going to be successful with that mindset. You've got to have that openness and that collaboration and that flexibility. You personally will see so much more success just from wanting others to be successful as well.
To do well. Yeah, absolutely. If your ideas are authentic, and you've done these things off your own back, then why would you not support it as anyone?
And there's enough success for everyone. It's just not going to be you or them. Like, you can all be successful in your own rights, Yeah, that really pisses me off when you hear conversations. You're like, come on, guys.
It's just like too competitive. It doesn't need to be that way.
No,
not
it doesn't.
at all. Yeah.
Sorry, just forget go past.
Go
on. So I run Power Hours, and a lovely lady called Alex McCarthy also runs them. And I went to her the other day. She coached me because I was like, I hold this space for everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it's the same with you. You get massage, from other people. I was like, I do this for everyone else. Haven't actually done it for me in a while because haven't had time and reflection, or all the things we were saying.
Yeah.
So I went to her, and it was amazing. And it was such a light bulb moment of going, and we are separate. She's more of a business coach and I provide more of a marketing service. But a lot of the basis of what we do is the same. But there was not that vibe of, she runs vision board workshops. We run them, and we actually went to hers,
I love
and it is
that
that case of going, actually get a different perspective, not of taking anything from hers and delivering it into ours, but just going, actually, we deliver them, we should probably do one ourselves, so we know how it feels.
Inspiration as well,
absolutely,
isn't it?
yeah. So don't be afraid to reach out to other people within your field and who are quite close to what you do either, because you can learn so much from each other. And actually, I said some things to Alex. She was like, "Oh, that's okay. Let's talk about that." And kind of you expand on that too, don't you? And actually, yes, in traditional forms of competition, there's always going to be someone out there doing the same thing as you. But if you want, and like you said, just nice to message some people and be like, "Hey, just love what you're doing."
Yeah,
doesn't need to be anything more.
Yeah. And you could make some really lovely friendships. If you're doing the same thing, probably got some stuff in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if nothing else comes from it other than a friendship, I am all here for collaborations. I think it is so important. And go back to your event, which you did yesterday, I think that was just a prime example.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. All right, guys, just to finish, what advice would you give somebody who is about to start their own business or thinking about it but absolutely shitting themselves?
Yeah,
because that's often the case.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Still shitting ourselves, not literally, but when you're like, actually, still happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to be cheesy and say just do it, because there's so much more than just do it.
Yeah.
But have that belief in yourself, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So
yes,
you really need to know yourself as an individual. I've come from a very structured corporate background, never really worked by myself until I started doing yoga, but it was like one class here, one class there, like very liberal, like it wasn't a formative in my life. So I think you need to do a little bit of work to understand yourself and what that looks like. Do you thrive off structure and routine? Do you prefer to be sporadic? Is that going to suit your business?
Yeah.
And understanding clients' timelines as well. So if you are a PT, for example, it is going to be on social hours because that's your client base, that's what they crave. So I think depending on what you're going into, just being aware of those things and kind of doing a bit of research into it, but having that belief and having, why not? You can, if you try it and it doesn't work, you can get a part-time job, you can get a full-time job, you can do whatever, you're still going to be employable, but just have that growth mindset of going, I can do this, it is going to happen. That visualization, all of the lovely stuff we've spoken about today sounds airy fairy, but it's so true.
But it's true.
So true.
100%.
And then just going for it in terms of like being ready to go. There's never a good time, is there? Like I literally was being paid £0.
You're never
the
ready.
time I launched my business wasn't the best time in the world, but it was, because I knew what it meant for flexibility for my family, which was, like we were talking about, priorities, top priority. Do a little bit of work on all the things we've spoken about, and then be brave, be bold, and know that I think the biggest thing for me actually is knowing that I didn't know there was a great group of people around me who were doing the same thing. It was so new to me. I'd never just gone on my own before. Like we said, all the things, I'd had a stable income. But also I organised the birthday parties. I was the birthday queen and the Christmas queen, and I'd organise all the socials, and I loved that. And I thought, I'm on my fucking own now. Like, who am I going to organise a birthday party?
But you've now created your little community.
So that's where co-working and the community stuff came from, is I was going, I can still do that actually. It's not where you are. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about it, like you said, you are shitting yourself. Know that the elements of the stuff that you do that you love can absolutely still live in the entrepreneur world. It doesn't have to stay static. I would organize events for 250, 300 people, and out of the kindness of my heart. And I'd like to be, make sure everyone got a birthday card in the team on their birthday, and we went for lunch, or, the social side. And I thought, when I went alone, I was like, oh my God, it's just me. Like I can't do that. Like, it's not who I am, but actually I can still do that. It's just a different environment. So,
and I really loved seeing when you first created your community stuff, because I thought that is so needed, regardless of if you're collaborating with people or if you work with other people, like there's such a space for that. And I'm sure that so many people, shout out to Carl again. He's pretending he can't hear us. He's just ignoring us. People appreciate it. And I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Perfect advice. I love that.
Thanks.
How
Danni?
about you, Danni?
I would say don't be afraid to get creative and just run wild with your dreams for a minute. Do a vision board workshop with us. Or
do a vision board workshop.
Literally, do a vision board workshop. Or just simply put all your ideas down. I've recently, actually thanks to you, got a child's notepad, the big one.
Love that.
Like this big.
Okay.
What is it, A3? Yeah. Fantastic idea.
Okay.
Bought myself a pack of pens, just brain dump and just get creative with it. I recently caught up with a friend and she's really wanted to change her work, like balance things. And I said, right, let's draw a clock. How would your most ideal day look? What time are you waking up? What are you having for breakfast? Are you working out in the morning, or are you going to see a client in that time? Literally go around the clock, how your most perfect ideal day is going to look, and get yourself in that mindset of this is so possible. How can I now work backwards? Work a lot with like ladders. And I'm a mentor for a young person in a school, and we've recently done this activity. She absolutely loved it. So hers was, how's her life going to look like in the next 5 years? She's 14 at the minute, so there's so much to come for her, and it's such a vulnerable age. But you can do this at any stage, like what you're working towards. What do the next 5 years look like for you? And sometimes it feels a bit of a stretch to think of a 5-year vision board, but if you break it down each year, like at each tiny scale, what can you do on a daily basis to work towards what you want to get to? Just don't be afraid to dream.
I love that. And it's so important to have that big vision. Because if it's not there, and it doesn't have to be super clear, because often it isn't, but you will always know how you want to feel. So like what you were just saying, create that perfect day. What does that look like? And then you just go backwards. What do I need to do to get to that point? Love that.
It's so lovely. I love just being in that little dreamy, airy fairy.
Yes.
Quite often when I'm in treatment, so it's like 90% of my day, just like
Always just
that could
floating
be
around.
fun. Yeah, but then it's like action as well is
Yeah,
like a
of
big thing.
course.
So just those daily tiny little tasks that you can
Yeah.
work towards something, even if you're in a corp job at the moment.
Mhm.
And hopefully people are feeling really inspired by your story as well. Like
Yeah.
that's so amazing. And just thinking, okay, what can I do? Like, what are my passions? What do I feel inspired by? And just work with that.
Yeah.
If you love serving people, how can you do that? Maybe take a new course or learn
Yeah.
something new.
Yeah. There's always something, isn't there? There's always something
Always.
you can do,
Yeah.
even just to learn more about yourself,
Mm.
because sometimes we don't know what the answer to that is. You know, how many times do we have conversations and you'll say, "What's your passion?"
Don't know.
I don't know. So do something to find that out.
Mm.
That's a great first step.
Sure.
Amazing. Thank you
Ooh,
so much, ladies. You have
thank
been
you.
incredible guests. Where can we
Thank you
find
for
you
having us.
online on all the socials and all that jazz? Let us know.
Yeah, I've got Instagram, daniellecox.wellbeing.
At the Little Marketing Co.
Say that a bit. Say that a bit louder.
At the Little Marketing Co.
Perfect.
And I've got a website, coxsalon.com. We'll find all our lovely bits and bobs for the salon on there.
Same as mine is thelittlemarketingco.org.
Amazing. Thank you so much, girls.
Thank
You've
you,
been
Nat.
incredible.
Thank you, thank you.
Shout out to International Women's Day.
Woo!
Woo-woo. Yes. Get it, girls. Love that. And thank you guys for watching, for listening. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will drop your guys' handles and everything in the comments below.
Thanks
See you guys soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.